Hey, what is going on, guys? Car Feed back again, bringing you guys another cool and exciting video. And today I want to talk about the 2021 Toyota Hilux. We're first getting a look at the possible facelift and redesign of the compact pickup truck sold by the Japanese automaker. So the supposedly images that we found are just renderings, and the real deal will be slightly less pronounced. Nonetheless, I think a lot of the design cues that we noticed here are definitely going to be taking shape into the Toyota Hilux that we do see. And after that, I'm going to talk about the Hilux that was spotted testing as a prototype, where we can expect some improvements on the powertrain for a 2.8 liter diesel with more power and torque likely in the mix. So the Toyota Hilux is a compact pickup truck sold by a Japanese automaker in many markets worldwide. The moniker was introduced back in 1968 and continues to run successfully to date. It was sold in the States when it was introduced, but the company pulled it out after 8 years in 1976 and replaced it with a rather generic truck badge. We do have its twin here, sold in 1995, called the Toyota Tacoma, so they're definitely siblings, and the Hilux is sold in international markets while the Toyota Tacoma is seen in the North American segments. The Hilux is presently in its 8th generation that was launched in 2017, while the next gen Hilux is expected to arrive in 2023. A mid-cycle refresh was on the cards for later this year. However, a website called Melil Motors has published images of the 2021 Hilux, although Car Advice mentioned that these could just be renderings based on the facelift, but we're not 100% sure, as they were expecting some minor improvements and enhancements to the design. And overall, from what I can tell, the Toyota Hilux looks a lot sharper and bolder. The upcoming Hilux is set to be inspired by the US-based Tacoma and Tundra, and the Australian publication said that the truck will most likely receive a fresh face with a bold grille and revised taillights. However, what we see in the images here is an exaggeration of the facelift. In these images, you can see the Hilux with a big nose and sharp design cues on the face. Melil also mentioned that it'll ride on either 17 or 18-inch aluminum wheels. Chrome elements are reserved for the higher trims. The website lists that there are 2 headlight designs. The lower trims will receive a halogen plus LED combination, whereas the higher trims will feature a full LED bi-beam setup. 2 new colors, oxide bronze and dark blue, are also listed alongside the standard palette. The taillights are also revised, but the rest of the truck looks similar. The Hilux is the best-selling vehicle in Australia for 4 consecutive years now. It is sold in different body configurations across the lineup and features 3 engine options as well, the most popular being the 2.8 liter diesel that I mentioned, making 174 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque when mated to an automatic transmission. And I think these numbers will actually be bumped up and optimized a little bit on the redesign. So that's definitely interesting to see that taking into place, and obviously developing a more prepared and I should say enhanced version of the pickup truck and powertrain specifically. And the same engine with a manual gearbox generates 174 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, and the facelift is expected to receive a power bump, as I mentioned, which I'm going to discuss a little bit later. But as I mentioned, the diesel automatic has a little bit more torque than the diesel manual, 12 pound-feet of torque less. But it's interesting to know that the GR Hilux is coming, and an updated version at that. Earlier this month, news about the GR Hilux had surfaced the internet. This high-performance truck will reportedly take on the Ford Ranger Raptor with a V6 engine borrowed from the upcoming 2021 Land Cruiser 300 series, according to carsguide.com.au. The Land Cruiser will feature this new setup, and engine is likely to be shared with other products in the lineup. Currently, the V8 diesel engine in the Land Cruiser 200 series makes 268 horses and 479 pound-feet of torque, and it's also expected to receive stronger brakes, suspension, and chassis upgrades, and differentiating design elements from the standard Hilux. The outcoming and the outlet believes that the new V6 will either exceed or will at least match these figures, so expect the GR Hilux to be way more powerful than the current tame version with the 4-cylinder mill. And just as a direct comparison, the Hilux 2.8 diesel has 174 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque, while the Toyota Hilux GR is expected to have 268 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque, which is certainly a big upgrade. And in terms of colors on this website source, we've also seen we would get an emotional red, white pearl, oxide bronze, DK blue, crimson spark red, orange ME, nebula blue, attitude black, gray ME, silver ME, and super white 2. So interesting just to see how they look in different colors. The Hilux is a very important product for Toyota in Australia, so you can expect a lot of changes with the facelift. However, Car Advice mentioned that the showroom versions may not be quite as dramatic as what has been depicted in these images. The renderings published by Melio Motors are believed to have been inspired by confidential internal illustrations of possible Toyota Hilux design themes, so take it with a pinch of salt and let's wait for the official images to appear. As for the inspiration and resemblance with the Tacoma, there are rumors that Toyota is planning to unify the two badges. Perhaps this is the first step in that direction. Let me know your thoughts about these renderings. Often some of these designs are a little bit more emphasized than what might be in the actual production series, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Toyota sort of streamlining their Hilux models with the Toyota Tacoma and sort of integrating the design language into one, which would obviously save them time and money. But we see in terms of design, as I mentioned, 18-inch aluminum wheels, black metallic paint on some of the trim levels, bi-LED lights, and as well we see the chrome that outlines some of the grills, which I essentially personally like as well. And at the back we see nighttime tail lamp illumination as well. That's a cool feature. And then as well, if we want to look at the functional layout of the actual lights, we have the tail lamp LED, stop lamp LED, turn signal lamp below, and the backup lamp and rear fog lamp also being LED at the bottom. And in the front lights, we see the bi-beam LED and the turn signal lamp to the left of it, and then the position lamp and daytime running lamp all the way to the right. And then similarly, we see that on the other side. So essentially, that's what we saw. And in terms of the testing prototypes that we saw of the Toyota Hilux facelift in Thailand, we saw rumors suggesting a full debut taking place in July. The heavily camouflaged 2021 Hilux prototype was spotted on the highway in Thailand recently, with spy photos surfacing on social media, revealing not much in the way of design, as they obviously do hide often. However, an image also surfaced showing what is believed to be a single headlight, which is where these renderings sort of came from, which is why we essentially believe that they will be quite similar to this. Much of the body and midsection, including the door skins and windows, are expected to carry over in essentially the same shape and form as the existing model, and even the bonnet appears to be very similar to the current version. Meanwhile, around at the back we can expect new taillights and revised sports bar for some variants, with a largely unchanged bumper bar. Most of the 2021 updates are set to be under the skin. That's been talk of Toyota essentially overhauling the current 2.8 liter turbo diesel 4-cylinder. And with that, I think the engine is definitely going to get a big bump. It's unknown of how much of a boost it will take, But as I did a video on the 300 series Land Cruiser, I'll include that in the description below. It would probably take similarities and engine wise from that. For what we'd imagine, 2.8 will need to be at least 150 kilowatts and 500 newton meters to make it a viable option for the big beast. As well, the engine had some issues relating to the diesel particulate filter, and there have been concerns over relatively low power and torque output compared to some rivals. It's believed Toyota will be addressing such matters with a facelift, with some speculations hiking in power from current 130 kilowatts and a boost in torque from the current 450 newton meters. As I mentioned, definitely going to see an improvement from there, but it's interesting to see how some of these design prototypes have made their way. And again, with the GR Hilux, I think they're going to be taking the larger powertrain, not only for the regular Hilux but for the GR version, as they wanted to compete directly with the Ford Ranger Raptor, which is essentially the performance pickup truck leader in these markets. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Subscribe, check out some other content if you had time. Stay safe and have a great day.
Gracias.